Hello and welcome back to another episode of Green Hell Greenhorn on Box Gaming. My name is Justin, and today we're going to be driving the 2006 Ferrari F248, also known as Michael Schumacher's last Ferrari F1 car. I've opted not to drive this car in a race as it's actually quite difficult to handle, so instead I'll be driving it in a practice session with no other cars on track. I've also opted for the livery with the bars on it, not the Marlboro stuff, because I believe for the majority of that season, they did not have the tobacco advertising on the car. They did at the beginning of it, if I'm remembering correctly, but I actually like the look of the white bars where the Marlboro advertising once was, so I have opted for that livery. There's also an option to drive as Felipe Massa with this mod. This is a mod that I downloaded off of Race Department. I believe it was on the second page of the Assetto Corsa cars that are available, the mod cars. And if you just search, or you could even just search for the F248 or 2006 Ferrari, anything like that. So as you saw right there at the beginning of this is my first flying lap. I've already done an out lap worth of practice, and I've also restarted the session a couple of times as well. The car is very, very pointy. I mean, just the smallest movement from the steering wheel, and you get incredible response from this car. And as you can imagine, it has a ridiculous amount of horsepower, and just it's incredibly fast and very, very sensitive when it comes to the steering. Which you're actually going to see here at the top of this hill. I believe I'm going to have a lift. Yes, I do. I have a lift over the hill and at the entrance to that corner, and then quickly back on full throttle. But I mean, around an apex speed of 180 miles per hour over that very fast sweeping right-hander. Full throttle, of course, down here. 7 gears in the 2006 Ferrari, of course. They had not gone to 8 gears yet. Didn't go to 8 gears till 2014, of course. So just 7 gears in this car. But yeah, close to 200 miles per hour. I did up the aerodynamics. I upped the downforce levels on this car, particularly the rear wing for this Nordschleife circuit. It's, as I mentioned, very, very pointy, and when you get oversteer in a pointy car, it makes things very, very difficult. And I'm sure for somebody as skilled as Michael Schumacher, it only made him quicker because he's able to control that pointiness and that oversteer and all that kind of stuff. But for someone like myself, some extra downforce at the rear was super helpful. And I added so much downforce. I was at like 25 degrees of wing angle on the rear. And I was worried, oh no, maybe I might get understeer now or something. Nope. No. I don't think it's possible to get understeer in this car, if I'm being perfectly honest, unless you take all of the downforce off the front wing. I think I have the front wing not much higher than what it comes at by default, which is around 10 degrees on the front wing. So I've got lots of rear downforce to help me through the corners and all that kind of stuff, and it really doesn't slow you down all that much on the straights, and it really doesn't affect your top speed, which I'm not sure is if that's an issue with the mod or something. Going over the curb on the right-hand side there, as you saw, that's something you really, really want to avoid. You do not want to be touching the curbs in this car whatsoever. As you can see, we've got the Bridgestones. I think it was Bridgestones, right, for 2006? But it's the grooved tires, so it is lacking in mechanical grip. However, it's got tons of aerodynamics, so it's got lots of downforce at high speed. Through the high-speed corners, feels great. Low-speed corners, it feels good as well, but I try to keep it in third gear or higher. Once you get down to second gear, that's really when you're going to start experiencing tons of wheel spin in this car. Also, I'm just not very quick in this car. Like, I can just tell that I'm probably, 10 to 15 seconds off what a quick driver would be able to do on this circuit with this car. I'm pretty sure a quick driver could get easily below 5.5 minutes on the Nordschleife using this car. And I was talking to Onage, or Jeroen Kwekel, oh yes, and I'm about to make a mistake here. Yep, I'm just riding that crest, that kind of bump that's in between the carousel and the upper lip of the carousel, and that just completely messed me up. So I've gone for a spin, and that's completely ruined my lap time, more or less. So I'm going to continue on, though, of course, because with the Nordschleife, you really need to complete as many laps as you can. If you're just restarting constantly, then all you're doing is learning how the car behaves in the early portions of the lap. And I really wanted to get some more practice in with this car at the later stages of the lap, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on. And hopefully with the next lap, I'll be able to set a clean lap with no problems or anything like that. Look at that, fourth gear through that uphill right-hander. That's normally like a third gear corner for most cars. Fourth gear in this Ferrari, and easily as well. In fact, I could have carried more speed. Again, fourth gear for this second uphill right-hander. Very similar corner, to be totally honest. And using fourth gear again for that one. Down into third gear for this left-hander. Up and over the hill. Careful on the throttle, of course. Blind apex there was relatively easy to spot in this car, actually. Sixth gear through that right-hander. Definitely could have carried more speed into the corner. However, that would have put me off a little bit at the exit of the corner, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm actually, I would rather, you know, be safe than sorry. So I took it through sixth gear through there. Fifth gear through there. Again, I think I could have gone a little bit quicker through that one, actually. Sixth gear probably would have been best. You can carry an immense amount of speed into that right-hander before the left-hander. Second carousel, no problem through there. Third gear through there, up to the hill now before we come onto the long straight, flat out through here. Let's see if I was brave enough. Yes, I was. No problems there. Very easy to go flat out through that final corner before coming onto this main straight. And you can see, again, topping out just below 200 miles per hour. And this is the sort of speeds I was seeing before changing the rear wing. So I don't know if that's a fault with the mod, that the increasing the rear wing angle is not affecting the top speed. But right about now, I really do not care. So coming to the end of the straight now, and we're going to start another flying lap here, and hopefully we're going to be a little bit more cautious into the final corner before starting our lap so we don't mess it up like we did last time. And we're going to see our lap time. I think it's a high 540 something. Yeah, 549. Yeah, and that's what I meant when I said high 540 is high, 49, 48, that sort of range. Not high 540.8.9. So yeah, we should be able to shave off at least 10 seconds off of that time. Probably even more, to be totally honest. Sixth gear heading into this complex, down into third gear, and then up into fourth gear briefly, and then we're going to drop it back down into third gear for this left-hander. And again, avoiding the curbs like the absolute plague. This car does not respond well to curbs whatsoever, at least not the curbs at the Nordschleife. You might be able to ride the curbs if you took this to a proper F1 circuit, some sort of Tilke circuit. I'm sure you could manage with that one, carrying a little bit more speed through there. At least it felt like it, but I looked down at the speedometer and it was still around 180 miles per hour. So I don't know how much extra speed I got through that fast right-hand complex. It's not, I mean, you might be able to full throttle this left-hander. I never was brave enough. You can get on the brakes really late on this car as well. The braking on this car is fantastic. One thing you may have noticed already is that I have had no front brake lockups or front wheel lockups, none whatsoever. And this car really responds quite well under braking. Going to give it a dab of the brakes down into sixth gear. I can use that curb at the inside there. That curb's relatively flat. Down into third gear for this tight left-hander to maximize the traction coming out of the corner, avoiding the inside curb, avoiding the outside curb nicely through there. That was much nicer than it was last time, I believe. Up into seventh gear, 185 miles an hour heading into this left-hander. A bit of a lift through there, but kept it in seventh gear, breaking down into third gear for this cambered left-hander, and then up and over the hill briefly into fourth before dropping it back down into third for this downhill right-hander, and then, of course, full throttle, but then a slight lift at this chicane right here, just a little bit of a micro lift, a half lift through that chicane just to make sure I stay planted through there. Sixth gear through the very high-speed right-handers there, and then braking pretty conservatively for this right then left sequence. You really don't want to be losing the back end under braking for that area, so I'd much rather brake too early than too late for that corner. Down into third gear, carrying nice speed through there, over 100 miles an hour through there, and then again up and over this hill, around 90 miles an hour apex speed, 89 miles an hour thereabouts. Full throttle through here. This left-hander, of course, full throttle. Don't even need to micro lift through there. And then you're going to break down to about fourth gear. Yeah, I'd say fourth gear is better. Get better traction. You can carry that kind of speed through that corner as well, especially with the downforce levels that I'm running. So fourth gear through that downhill corner. The really important thing is just to remember to try to get as late in apex as you can for that corner. The biggest problem I have is just turning in too early. Full throttle, of course, through here. I expect we'll have a little lift into this upcoming left-hander. Going to look at the bottom right. Yes, we do have a little bit of a lift nicely through there, avoiding the outside curb as well. A little bit of a lift through here, only because it's just very nerve-wracking going through that corner. I'm sure I could have kept it planted through there, but Again, I'm just really trying to set a clean lap. I want to see what this car can do, and I want to set a lap without any sort of spins or anything. So this time I'm going to drop it down into second gear, and I tried to grab the carousel, but when I started going back up onto that lip, I decided to just take the edge. Again, I'd rather be safe than to risk spinning it again. Full throttle through here, micro lift into this left-hander. Yep, you can see I lifted about a third off of the throttle through there. Down to fourth gear. You can probably do fifth gear for that left-hander, but definitely I would do fourth gear for the right-hander. And then I did third gear for this right-hander. I think you could have done fourth there as well. If anybody is thinking about taking this car out on the Nordschleife, those are kind of like my gear recommendations. Keep it in fifth for this right-hander, actually. I could have carried even more speed through there. Again, fourth gear for this uphill right-hander, as we'll be doing for the next uphill right-hander. Fourth gear for this double left-hander coming down the hill, and I dropped it down in third, but then quickly remembered that I wanted to be in fourth for that corner, actually, and put it back up into fourth gear and got back on the throttle. Again, fourth gear for the uphill right-hander, drop it down into third, I believe is safe. Yeah, because look, you can see it takes me a while before I even get into fourth coming out of that corner, so third gear I'd say is definitely best. Initially, I was using fifth gear for this right-hander here. However, sixth gear does seem the better choice, and I've definitely carried a little bit more speed through there than previously. Left and down the hill, no problem. Oh gosh, and I've hit the curb, and that's completely sent me into the barrier. However, I am pointing the right direction, and I did not come to a complete stop, so I believe that has cost me less time, significantly less time, compared to the spin that I had on the lap previous. So again, I'm going to go ahead and continue, but that's very unfortunate. Really hoping to get a clean lap in this car so I can see how it stacks up to the rest of the cars. And in fact, I took a picture of my times with the other F1 cars, so I'm going to try and pull that up quickly as I'm now heading in. So using fifth gear this time for that uphill right-hander, and then again, just full throttle coming through there. You can see just how much grip the car has. I was actually, you know, I could have had a smoother steering input coming out of there for sure. But let me see if I can quickly pull up this picture of my times that I've got for the various F1 cars so that you guys can compare. Hold on just a second. my folder is trying to sort itself. I have a folder of pictures that has over 2,000 items in it, and it takes even my computer quite a while to get used to that. There we go. I'm pulling it up now. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so what time is it? Yeah, so it's a 5:39, so I did improve by 10 seconds on this car. In the Williams FW31, I did a 5-minute 28, so that's 11 seconds faster. The Mercedes W06, I did a 5-minute 43, so that's actually 4 seconds slower than what I did in the Ferrari here. The Williams FW37, I did a 5:41. Again, that's actually slower than this Ferrari 248, F248. And then, did I have any other? Yes, that's right. The Ferrari F1 concept car is 5 minutes 33. However, I think I could get very close to that. So surprisingly enough, the Ferrari F1 concept car is not that much faster than Michael Schumacher's 2006 Ferrari F248 F1 car. So that is pretty surprising to say the least. So again, going through this flat-out section, it's a pretty good start to the lap. It's clean anyway, no spins or anything like that, so it's looking all right so far. Again, a bit of a micro lift into this left-hander, braking later than I have before, really laying onto the brakes. Down to third gear. I think fourth gear might actually be better for that corner. I forgot to mention that on the previous lap, but I think fourth gear for that downhill right-hander is actually going to be best for this Ferrari. Coming down the hill now very, very quick. Over 200 miles an hour, getting on the curbing. Don't want to be doing that. That's definitely going to lose me at, close to a second or so. And then braking now for this tight left-hander. Again, using third gear for that. Oh, I've touched the inside curb. Really want to avoid that, which hindered me as far as getting onto the power. Also, just so you guys know, the 2014 GP2 car, I did the Nordschleife in 6 minutes and 1 second. So that's about 30 seconds slower than the FW31. It's about 20 seconds slower than I've currently done in this Ferrari. So still quite respectable. Coming down this hill and lifting. Oh, and I've completely screwed up this lap, and I've gone for a big old spin. So that is going to do it for this video, or at least for the commentated portion of the video, of course. As with all Green Hell Greenhorn videos, stay tuned if you want to see the off-board replay. I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.